Scott. Ready to go? Ready to go. All right, welcome everybody. I don't know if you can you hear me all right? Probably not. Yeah? Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. So just to give you a brief outline of what we're doing tonight, this is kind of an informational meeting for discussion purposes only, and no vote will be taken tonight. The vote is tomorrow, so please vote tomorrow if you haven't voted already by absentee ballot. Polls will be open for this location from 10 to 7, so please vote tomorrow. Tonight's meeting, although not required, is being held as a courtesy to allow for public discussions. We will start with a brief slide presentation from Allison Hopkins, who's Senior Planner at a Regional Planning Commission, Mount Escutney Regional Commission. And so she will explain Act 164, which is the formation of the Cannabis Control Board, timeline of what it's all about, and what it means for local municipalities. You should be wearing masks unless you're at the microphone, and whenever you do talk, please come to the microphone. Do not talk out from the seats. Following Allison's presentation, our moderator, George Thompson, thank you, George, will open the public discussion portion of the meeting. And there was a two sign-up sheets when you came in. If you haven't signed up, please do so now. And there's also a checkbox at the far end of it if you want to speak tonight. So what we're going to do is take those sign-up sheets, and the people that have checked that want to talk will be called up by the moderator and given their 5 minutes to talk. So you have 5 minutes to talk or less. That's the maximum amount. The shorter the better, possibly, but certainly this is an issue that people want to talk about. So, so the first time through, everybody will have a chance to talk, and you have 5 minutes or less, like I said. And then when we finish everybody's opportunity to talk, then a second go around, and that would be a rebuttal sort of discussion, second opportunity, and that'll be like a 2 minute or less, and we'll go from there. Just a reminder, no voting is happening tonight. Tonight is strictly discussion on the article question. The article question, I have copies of it up here if you don't have a copy or if you want a copy. And I'm just going to read it right now. Try to focus on just the article question. We're not here to discuss the pros and cons. It's already been decided by the state legislature. So the article question reads, shall the town of Ludlow authorize cannabis retailers and retail portions of integrated licensee establishments in town pursuant to 7 VSA 863. So please respect others when they're talking. Focus on the article question only. And the select board meeting, if you're here for that, will begin shortly after this meeting ends. And there's agendas in the back for that. And you're all welcome to stay for that. So thank you again for coming. And I'll turn it over to Allison if you want to start the presentation.
All right. Hi. Can you all hear me? I'm going to keep my mask on. Thanks for coming out tonight to discuss this important subject matter with the town of Ludlow. Scott's already introduced me. The town of Ludlow is one of our member towns. One of the things he didn't mention that I want to make sure we point out is that the Regional Planning Commission is not advocating for an opt-in or out. We are just providing the facts, the timeline, and things to consider as you move into your opt-in vote tomorrow. We will go over on the next slide what we'll be covering this evening. You'll also notice that normally at the end of PowerPoint presentations, there's a nice questions and answers period. You're not going to see that at the end of my slide. It is not the format for this evening. You'll have a time to talk, as Scott mentioned. And also, again, we're not the subject matter experts. We just want to stick to the facts and things you should consider from a regulations perspective for your opt-in vote. So let's, yeah, no. Oh, we are going to go, make sure I'm seeing what you're, yes. This is what we're going to go over in brief tonight, the overview of the law, opting in and out, what to think about, and the timeline for action. So, briefly, I'm covering in January of last year, the Act 164 created a 3-member cannabis control board. We'll go into that more. February of 2021, they appointed an executive director, and they are moving into discussions with experts in public health, substance misuse, and many other subject matter experts. In March of next year is when the final rules are to be adopted by the Cannabis Control Board. And in October of 22 is when they're going to start issuing retail licenses. So just as a very brief overview, Act 164 legalizes the sale, purchase, taxation of adult use cannabis with regulations. Essentially, it establishes a retail market. Towns can opt in at any time during this timeline. Why are you? All right, as mentioned, what is the 3-member Cannabis Control Board? They're an independent board. They meet weekly. Their meetings are, some of them are held virtual. They're open to the public. You can get online and ask to be, either go in person to their meetings or you can listen in virtually. They basically meet to go over the rules. What is Act 164 going to look like, and what are the regulations, or what they're suggesting, what is going to be in place. These are some of the aspects of the industry that the CCB is going to look over. We're not going to go into all of these. Basically, we're going to look at small retailers and integrated licensing as it relates to the town of Ludlow. These are some of the big highlights of Act 164 that it's important to note. It's cannabis establishment. It's not considered farming. So some of our required agricultural practices that are so important and in place in Vermont don't apply to cultivated cannabis. There are some education components that are already in place for local retailers and issuing those licenses. I'm not going to go into them all there, but these are some of the education requirements that the licensed retailers will have to go through. There's also a big push and discussion surrounding sort of youth substance misuse and how to protect that. One of the big pieces that you'll see here is that no packaging should be appealing or what is considered appealing to anyone under the age of 21. And they should all, excuse me, be child-proof and marked with appropriate warnings. Let's see. More important highlights. Only adults over 21. We went over that already. For sale, entry, employment, some of the other big pieces in here. Let's see what we can. So the last bullet, 14%, there'll be an additional tax on all of these retail and licensures. 14% tax on cannabis products. 30% of that 14% will then be used for the purpose of funding universal after-school and prevention programs. So that's a big piece of the regulation. Opting in or out. We've already gone over the town through that March 22 period that we looked at on one of the first several slides. The town has the ability to opt in anytime during that time period. Municipalities have to vote to opt in. If you do nothing, you are not opted in to Act 164. And it needs to be done through a special meeting, which was what the town has already publicized and is doing tomorrow. This informational session is not required, like Scott went over, and so it's good that you have this time to sort of talk about it and discuss. One thing we do want to put out, even if you don't opt it in, you don't have a vote, or if the vote tomorrow does go towards an opt-in, the town then cannot create an ordinance or a bylaw that would prohibit the sale of cannabis. Municipalities, this is the big one that the Regional Planning Commission is talking about and can provide technical assistance on. We're suggesting that municipalities that do vote to opt in create a local cannabis control commission. And we'll go into the next slide of what that local control commission can do. So once you've opted in and decided that you would like to have some local control, this board can really establish and administer sort of how that local licensing for retailers and integrated licensees works. They can establish local licensing fees, oversee compliance, suspend or revoke licenses for violation. So this is really where your local control will come into place. And you can regulate, as you can see below, some of the things that we're discussing. It will come up to this in further slides, how you can get further into the regulations than what the actual CCB is doing. Things that you cannot do. You can't, they can't, after an opt-in vote, the local commission couldn't just, say, we're prohibiting this by a municipal ordinance or bylaw. That's prohibited. We've already covered this timeline at the first slide, but we're sort of in that, in between some of the bigger pieces and when the actual licenses will begin. All right. So if opt-in is a favorable choice tomorrow, we're suggesting that a review of existing regulations be done. This can be done by your town officials or by that local commission that could be set up. You would then possibly work to establish local regulations depending on sort of what the feedback is this evening and what potentially resident survey or community feedback looks like. Some of the ways that the local regulations could apply, there's zoning. Ludlow has zoning, so it can play a proactive role in figuring out where it wants cannabis retail located. Zoning can be a very useful protective tool. You can look at what buffer zones are right for the town and around what uses those buffers might contribute to. The Cannabis Control Board has already set up a 500-foot buffer allowing certain uses, but again, their regulations allow towns that have zoning and have a local control commission in place to decide if they want to decrease or increase those suggested buffer zones.
Ellie, can you go back a screen like this?
Oh, thank you. That's not right. There we are. What were we saying? Other policies, the town can look at how many licensees it wants to have in town. So you could have an ordinance around a cap or a controlled density requirement. That's a conversation that could be had as well. Signage, you could take a look at your existing signage and see if there's any ways that you would want to change those regulations once you've had an opt-in vote. The same with public nuisance ordinances. You could create or review your existing public nuisance ordinances and strengthen those based on community feedback. Substance ordinances could be adopted to regulate the land use and consumption of certain substances. Health chapters in your town plan, health and wellness, talk about goals, policies, and recommended actions relating to public health. And then potentially a town and health wellness committee to talk about this subject and make sure that during every planning cycle it's still being brought to the forefront. What are some of your neighboring towns doing? We're working with both of these. Our neighboring Regional Planning Commission, Two Rivers, and the prevention partners in those districts are working with Woodstock, Vermont. They are having discussions like you are this evening, whether an opt-in vote is right for their town. They've established a local research group that's made up of volunteer committee members, subject matter experts, and town officials and town planning folks. Windsor, Vermont, which our regional commission works with, has already opted in, and they are now working at looking at their local regulations, seeing how they can strengthen those, getting public feedback, and also thinking about establishing a local research group as well. So, like I said, there's not a question time right now. I'll stick around for a little bit and see if any questions come up that I can help answer when it's that time. Otherwise, there's some points of contacts up here for myself and others in our office, and also the collaborative, Marianne Morris, our executive director. That's the prevention practice that covers the town of Ludlow. So that's all I have. Shut it down. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And it's nice to see so many people out this evening to talk about, obviously, this real important topic about the possibility of having cannabis retail sales in town. You've heard the presentation. I'm just going to reiterate a few things for you, since I know some people came in late and may not have heard Scott. First thing is, I want to be able to see you, so I'm going to drop this mask. And I want you to be able to hear me, and I can speak better without the mask, and I'm at least 6 feet away from you, and I am vaccinated. So I think I've got it covered. And now I can put it on, and I don't have foggy glasses. So the first thing is, I just want to remind people of the reason that we're here. We're not here to debate the pros and cons of cannabis sales. That has already been established by the state, and you saw that presentation now. So what's before us is strictly what's in the article that Scott read earlier. And of this, I thought there'd be a lot of people that wanted to speak. Everyone signed in. If you want to speak, you needed to check off that you wanted to speak. Is there anyone who did not sign in that does want to address or speak this evening? If there is there anybody that signed in that suddenly does decide they want to speak? Because what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the list of people that... Yes. You do? Here you go. You can. We'll let you sign right up here. All right. Did you already sign? You already signed in? You just want to speak then?
I didn't check.
Okay. So you didn't sign it off, did you? Sign it off. Did you sign this one? Well, just sign up again. And check off that you want to speak. Check off that you want to speak. Okay, and the parameters are, and this was established by Select Board and Scott in discussion, that we'll be allowing 5 minutes, and I'm going to go right down the list of people that signed in that wish to speak this evening. And they'll have 5 minutes max. Scott had said you can do less if you so choose. And then we'll just go right to the next person on the list. And we're going to go right through the list. And then once we're done with that, we will do a second round to give people, if they wish to speak a second time, an opportunity to speak for 2 minutes, but not until everyone has had a first opportunity. So just to be clear on that. Let's see. What else? We are asking everybody to come up and speak directly into that speaker. The meeting this evening is being recorded by Okemo Valley TV. It's being live streamed, as I understand, on Facebook, YouTube, and so that people will have an opportunity, but that's the way they're going to get to hear you, either through this mic or through that one. Otherwise, they may not be able to hear you. So we're asking everyone to please, please come up and use the mic. So I've had people sign in. Is there anyone, we're done with that. Is there anyone who is signed in and wants to speak that is not a legal voting resident of town? Ah, good. Check that one off. All right. We will be timing. Scott is going to time and keep the timer for you. And I am going to try to keep things moving along so that if you have achieved your 5 minutes and the timer's gone off, I'm going to ask you if you can stop and let's give somebody else a chance. Let's see. Asking everyone, please, it could be a heated discussion. Please be respectful of one another. Don't interrupt anybody. No, be respectful and you'll have a turn. Let's see. So I think we are ready to get started. And in no particular order, other than that you signed in, is Laura Bellatoni. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll massacre everybody's names probably tonight. But Laura, you are on, our first speaker for this evening.
Is this on? I said, oh, please just don't let me be first. So I've been a part-time resident here for 15 years, had a ski house, loved the community, decided to move up full-time. I'm a full-time pharmaceuticals representative, so still working full-time in that career. But I have a store here in town, Three Graces. It's across the street from Hostel. And we also opened a store in Provincetown this year on the Cape. Provincetown has 3 cannabis stores, and it was kind of a big deal when they were getting ready to open their stores. And, you know, I even, in preparation to come here tonight, it's not a big passion of mine, but people are asking me, hey, what do you think? And I think I live in this town, I live in that town. They're kind of similar resort communities. And the cannabis industry there is super professional. People aren't like going in and getting gummies and getting all whacked and falling asleep on street corners. It's a retail store for the most part, and you show a license before you even see the door, and then you show a license when you get in the door. You show a license and they limit you to the amount of cannabis that you can get. I think it wouldn't be a bad thing for the town. I think it would be even better if it was in walking distance, because in P-Town you park your car and you pay for parking, and then you walk by a shop where you can get a coffee and a bagel, and like the Hatchery or Johnny's, and you walk to the next spot, and then you might duck in and, you know, get some gummies or some cannabis. I think there's a fair amount of marijuana growth and consumption in Vermont. I think it's almost kind of a different thing. But I just wanted to sort of weigh in as a business owner. I don't think it would be bad for town. I think a couple of bigger issues are, you know, the town is growing and revitalization, and maybe the cannabis store could be in a downtown property that needs some upkeep and has a few apartments upstairs that they spruce up, and now there's more affordable housing for more workers. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Laura. Our next speaker is Dean Alexander. You did sign up at the top of this sheet.
I'd like to start, if I could ask a question, of the council, the select board. What are the benefits to Ludlow as far as the town is concerned?
Scott, do you want to give us what you know at this point?
Yeah, Dean, we don't have the parameters from the Cannabis Board yet. They haven't set them yet. So we don't know exactly what the benefits are. Initially, it's looking like similar to the Liquor License Board, where you would pay a licensing fee. Currently, our licensing fee for a liquor license is around $100, so it's not that substantial. Okay. But they're still working on that.
Okay. I just want to state that I am against any municipality, and I know we're not supposed to address the state, but I just don't feel it's proper for us to make money off of cannabis at this time. Ludlow is a nice community. I don't think we need to be a destination for people looking for the purchase of cannabis. There are larger centers, more retail-oriented towns that I think would be better suited for that. And as far as some of the statistics placed about the state making money and using it towards education and things like that is overblown. When someone says we're going to take the money from taxes and use it towards education, or we're going to use it towards this, or we're going to use it towards that, it never ends up exactly being used that way. So I just think that Ludlow is not the place for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. All right, our next speaker is Gene Chastanovich. I can't read your handwriting, sorry. Yes, would you please go up to the microphone?
Hi, my name is Gene Jacominich. I've been a resident, well, I've been coming here since I was drug up the mountain by Pomelish. And we've been a resident now for 12 years, property owners for the last 35, 40 years. And I've seen this town go through a lot of different changes, both good and bad throughout the years. Although I think it's a great town, I think that there are a lot of missed opportunities. And personally, myself, being a cancer survivor, I have a story where cannabis actually was the reason that I was able to get off of opiates and not able to take pain pills anymore, where I was told I was going to be on them for life. So then I did a little bit more research into things, and you know, we've had a decline in our population for the last 10 years, except for 2 years. The taxes generally raised by small towns with dispensaries, I just looked it up, are about $28 to $30 million in the first year. So that's a small, I just typed in real quick, and I know that number could be off, but just to answer that question, because I think the benefit to the town is going to be the increased jobs that we don't have, there's no jobs for people here, and that's why a lot of people, even, I'm 49, and I've owned several businesses, just getting started again after recovering from cancer, and I was actually going to move on as well, and leave and start my companies elsewhere, because we just don't have the structure right now here. And I think it would be a great benefit to the town to bring those types of jobs in. I also have read the studies that it does not contribute to crime rates. It actually raises the lowers the crime rates and increases properties by 7.7%, according to, I believe it was a Forbes study. I do have everything documented if people want to see that. But other than that, I mean, I think it's a safe bet, and I think it's, you know, a great thing to help people with the opiate problem as well as our cash flow problem in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Suzanne Garvey? Oh. Oh, you did it. I thought it was a star you put there. Instead, it was a check and then a scribble out, huh? Okay. We can respect that. Pam O'Neill.
Good evening. My name is Pam O'Neill, and I'm here as a Ludlow resident and the president of the Black River Area Community Coalition. Established in 2003, BRAC is a coalition of parents, educators, town officials, community members, law enforcement, business owners, and youth. Our mission is to prevent youth substance use and violence by promoting a healthy, involved community. Over the past 18 years, we have successfully worked with all of our partners to keep our youth safe, whether through underage drinking strategies, prescription drug take-back boxes, wellness and after-prom events, school educational programs, summer camp activities, youth groups, parent nights, ordinance, town policies, and more. Our priorities include underage drinking, prescription drug use and misuse, tobacco, vaping prevention, and marijuana prevention. We partner with the Vermont Department of Health and a collection of drug prevention coalitions throughout Windsor County known as the Green Peak Alliance. Our funding comes from local, town, state, and federal grants. After the passage of Act 86 in 2018, which legalized cannabis for those over the age of 21, we shifted our strategies to address the use of cannabis by our youth and young adults. According to the Vermont Department of Health, Vermont rates of use in the past month among people aged 12 and above were highest in the country, at almost twice the national rate. Adult marijuana use has steadily increased in Vermont since 2013, and use among high school students increased significantly from 2017 to 2019. That data comes from the youth risk behavior surveys that are done through the schools throughout the state. And they do them every 2 years, and we're actually going to be doing a new one this year. The National Institute of Drug Abuse recently conducted the first ever study measuring the time between first use of an addictive drug and the onset of a substance use disorder among adolescents and young adults. In adolescents ages 12 to 17, 10.7% developed a substance use disorder within 12 months of starting to use cannabis. Among young adults 18 to 25, 6.4% has developed a substance use disorder. That's published by the American Medical Association, 3/31/2021. Over the past month, we have heard from the proponents of the opt-in vote about how cannabis dispensary would be a benefit to the town of Ludlow, the same town that came out in overwhelming numbers just a few months ago to support the Divided Sky Rehab Center. It's been stated how cannabis can be a significant aid in the fight against opioids. However, in a new study published by the Journal of Emerging Trends in Drugs, Addictions, and Health as of June 2021, examined the relationship between marijuana use among those in short-term recovery from an opiate use disorder and relapse. The study found that adolescents and young adults with opiate use disorder who use marijuana as a harm reduction strategy were not successful in their marijuana use, actually enhanced cravings for opiates and promoted relapse. In the first 6 months of this year, we have lost over 116 Vermonters to opiate-related death, 16 right here in Windsor County. Voting to allow a dispensary would not help ease that problem. As a resident of Ludlow, I've seen the numbers of tourists and second homeowners flock to our town over the past 32 years. They come to Vermont for skiing, snowboarding, skating, snowshooting, golf. They enjoy our lakes, rivers, waterfalls, hunting, fishing, boating, nature walks, and scenic vistas and hiking trails. They come with their families and friends to enjoy the peace and quiet of Ludlow. As the Ludlow Selectboard quoted in 2016 when they passed the ordinance prohibiting drug, tobacco, and vaping paraphernalia and further prohibiting marijuana dispensaries, it is the intent of the Ludlow Selectboard to promote a family-friendly atmosphere within the town. This objective applies to the residents of the town and all our visitors. We're asking promoters of Ludlow to please vote no tomorrow. Prevention works. Please think of our community, especially our youth.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Okay, next on our list is Andrea Goldman.
A little short. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea Goldman. My wife is Meredith Milliken. We are both residents of Ludlow. My wife's parents skied at Okemo in the 1950s. They owned property here in the 1990s. We've owned a property here for 18 years. We love this town. We absolutely believe that cannabis, legal cannabis, can be a benefit to this town. I do want to address what was just stated about youths. We are all for youth prevention. We met with the head of the independent school. We met with the police twice. We want to work with different groups. Matter of fact, we reached out to BRAC and said, let's talk, let's work together. Before this meeting, we were told at first, that's a great idea, then we were told, oh no, let's talk after it passes, then we can talk. That's not cooperation. That's not cooperation. That's not thinking of all of us as a community. The question was asked before. And by the way, I do want to say, we are the proposers of this, but we are not you're not voting on us. I've been working in legal sorry, it's hard to speak to you in this way. I'll do this way. Please excuse my back.
They can hear you if you speak in the mic, though.
All right. I've been working in legal cannabis since 2015. I've been investing in it since 2015, investing since 2014. Prior to this, I was a lender to healthcare companies, including companies who did opioids. I'm now on the right side of history. Opioid is a scourge, and we can, as Pam had said before, nothing personal, this is just professional, as the last speaker said, we can all argue different statistics. I could show you tremendous statistics, and please watch Pot versus Pills about how opioids are so addictive and what they do to your brain and how pot can help. Cannabis, legal cannabis can help. One of the things, the benefits to the town, we have cannabis in town right now. It's in ample supply. Legal cannabis is safer than illicit cannabis. So if it's already here, why not make it safer? Benefits to the town. First of all, it's going to be very highly regulated. We heard part of that. There are so many more regulations. To have a dispensary, we're going to have to go through background checks and fingerprinting and criminal checks. Everybody's going to have to be, it's going to be mandatory training. There'll be other training by us. We've talked about legal cannabis being safer. By the way, 2019 vape crisis. People got vapes for cannabis legally and illegally. The Yale Medicine and Public Health studies just showed that there was a 42% lower incidence of injuries, lower, in states where there was adult use legal cannabis. Why? Because it's tested. Legal cannabis can actually save lives in a community where it already exists. It exists here. If people don't think so, they really should ask their neighbors. Anyone could get cannabis today. It's safer when it's legal. Asking about benefits to the town. So what we didn't hear is that the Vermont Cannabis Commission Control Board has just recommended that of the excise taxes, 1 to 2% go to the towns. 1 to 2%. We believe we're going to actually help this town's budget with $100,000 a year. The Vermont Commission has a report saying, you can see it October 15th, they estimate it'll be statewide adult use, not just medical, not even medical, of $221.9 million. There's about 30 towns have opted in so far. Let's say there's 35 and there's 2 dispensaries per town. I'm sure there won't be here. I'm sure there won't be in most towns. Conservative, 70 dispensaries. That's an average of $3.2 million a dispensary each town. Think of what 2% of that is. That's $60,000. We think we'll do at least $5 million. Why? Because it is everywhere. Because people are either bringing it in or they're going to buy it here. This town is surrounded. We have this available for anybody who wants to see the towns who have already opted in. 30 towns have opted in. Legal cannabis is coming here. Why shouldn't this town benefit? Financially, directly, we think it's $100,000. If it's $50,000, we were here at the last select board meeting hearing that there's a deficit for our ambulances for $30,000 to $50,000 a year. We could fill that gap.
Time, George.
Meredith, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Andrea, thank you very much. And let's see, next on our list, Donald Dugrau. Donald? I got your name wrong? LeGros. That's close. You're on.
Well, according to the note in the paper, Ludlow isn't going to make a whole lot of money on taxes from this. And if they are, I'd like to see that more about that. But according to this, the only one that's going to make any money on taxes is the state. And they aren't going to give it back to us because they never have, because we're a gold town. When you come down to any type of drugs, the British started giving opium to the Chinese to keep them under control. And if you want to go for that here, then you're welcome to it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just another means of control. And they're going to promise you all this money in taxes, and your taxes aren't going to get here because they'll keep it they're going to spend it on something else. As far as the people, some people may have a benefit of using CBD or something like that, but as far as outright using marijuana as a smoke or whatever, they've outlawed smoking, period, just about. And now they're bringing on cannabis. They want you to smoke that. So where does that go? The Mexicans are bringing as much as they can across the border. And they're bringing it here. They're bringing it in any way they can get it here, along with the other hard drugs that they're making in South America. sooner or later, you'll have to vote it for that to come in and be legalized so that somebody can pay taxes on it. And the only thing that is going to improve is them saying they're making more money for us on taxes. Well, what they're doing is killing us doing it. So if they want to go for that, go right ahead. I don't want any part of bringing cannabis into here. I don't want my grandchildren using it. I don't want my children using it. And so far as I know, they aren't. Was there benefit to it? Maybe some medical benefit, but not for everyday use. The accident toll is mounting up. It's illegal by country standards. The U.S. government has not approved the use of cannabis. As far as any of us people that work for a living, if I'm a truck driver and I've had a CDL for some time, if I start using cannabis, that CDL can go out the window. And if anybody's flying an airplane, they get checked regularly. If they're using any kind of drug, they're out, right out the door. So be careful what you wish for. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. All right. I just realized there's a second page here. Okay, next on our list is Meredith Milligan.
I just want to read some quotes here. The first one is from the Massachusetts State Cannabis Control Commission Chairman, Stephen Hoffman, who is the highest Massachusetts government official for legal cannabis. Quote, "Now we're nearly 3 years into the industry, and it has rolled out remarkably smoothly. There haven't been increases in youth consumption or crime or hospital admissions. The best evidence for that is Northampton, which is no longer asking for mitigant fees because they recognize there really aren't any incremental expenses they've incurred." Per the mayor of Northampton, Massachusetts, which had one of the first 2 adult use dispensaries in Massachusetts, quote, "The potential concerns about this industry mostly came from people who are opposed to legalization and thought there would be increases in crime or there would be increases in drug abuse, etc. Those concerns have not materialized." From right here in Vermont, Rutland Selectmen, there has been plenty of experience from our neighbors now down in Massachusetts and Maine. We know that retail establishments don't bring out the worst in everybody like everybody feared. And for the last one, she is an editor, Angela Lynn, an editor from the Addison Independent from up north in Vermont. By voting to opt in, residents will position their retail communities for positive economic gain, but also provide a seat at the table in determining regulations to be put in place to keep the community informed, healthy, and safe. Better to be in the driver's seat than to be a silent passenger.
Thank you, Meredith. Okay, now I'm going to really put some people on the spot because they put down maybe. So Alan Couch, are you interested in talking? Did you maybe yes or maybe no? All right. It looks like a maybe yes.
My name is Alan Couch. I am the chair of the Ludlow Planning Commission, but I come here tonight speaking.
And can I ask you to move a little bit closer to that mic?
Sorry about that. Alan Couch. I'm chair of the Ludlow Planning Commission, but I'm here tonight speaking as a citizen of the town. I have not decided how I'm going to vote tomorrow, and as my wife hates, I may play devil's advocate on a couple of things. In the presentation in the paper, there's some mention of this potential dispensary employing 30 full-time students. I'm a little shaky on the math there. At 30 employees rather, at 40 hours a week, that's 1,200 hours. I don't know how many people will be in the actual dispensary, but it seems like 30 is inflated. And earning a living wage. I'm not debating the benefits of cannabis. Actually, we have some dogs that benefit from the use of cannabinoids, and I do not partake of either cannabis or THC, CBD or THC. The benefits for the town, I think, is sort of a moot point. I mean, it's minimum compared to the potential detractions from this. We already have a medical marijuana cards in the state of Vermont, and the state provides delivery services for those products for people who have a medical card and a need for THC or CBD. I also am a little fuzzy on what new businesses would follow a dispensary into town. Perhaps more rehab centers. I think it's a little odd that we would have a rehab center within a 15-minute walk to a potential dispensary. Not sure if they already have a location in mind, and to use the threat that surrounding towns are going to open dispensaries and benefit from such an establishment, I think is a little disingenuous. We have enough people coming through here on a weekend going up to Killington. Traffic through town is already horrendous on the weekends in the wintertime. Having a dispensary where people, stop and park and exacerbate traffic conditions isn't something I look forward to as I'm trying to get to and from work every day. And if there are dispensaries in neighboring towns, it sort of takes the tourist money to other towns who could benefit from the tourists who come here to go skiing. And we could have a nice symbiotic relationship with the neighboring towns and spreading the wealth a little bit. Again, I'm not sure which way I'm leaning, but those are just some points I had. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your thoughts. Next on our list is John Denner, who is also a maybe. You're all set? Okay, great. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for participating in that. We are now able to go to round two. For those people, I'll go through the list again and simply let me know if you wish to speak again. And if you don't, that's fine as well. There's no pressure here.
Can people decide to speak now in the second round and didn't speak the first round?
Well, the rules that we set up at the beginning where if people chose to speak or wanted to speak, they needed to sign up.
I didn't realize maybe was an option.
Yeah. What's that?
I didn't realize maybe was an option.
Uh-huh.
This is supposed to be an information, you let everybody speak. Please, that's our motion, if we may.
Okay, ma'am, how many people that didn't sign up would like to speak? Okay, I'll honor that. We've got 3 people who may wish to speak. The lady, I'm sorry. I don't know your name, I'm sorry. The lady that spoke up first.
I'm Sarah.
Oh, what was the lady behind you? Or she didn't want to speak? Oh, she was just asking for people to speak. Sarah?
Great.
Yes, you're a resident of town, legal voting resident?
Correct.
Thanks.
Right.
And your name is?
My name is Sarah Hillman.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to keep my mask on if that's okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, just be close to the mic, please.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's real good.
I just have some quick rebuttals and some points that I took notes on while I was hearing. First off, I just want to full disclosure. I am a retired consumer of Delta-9 THC because it gives me paranoia and anxiety. However, I am a huge advocate for cannabis in all regards, and I currently consume THCA to help my anxiety. Okay, so can I talk to people directly by their name? Is that a thing?
You might say another presenter.
Okay.
Because they're not going to speak right after you, but they may choose to.
Sure.
If they've already presented, then they could
Okay.
respond afterwards.
All right. So one of the things I heard tonight was that Ludlow has the possibility of be turning into a destination town because of a dispensary, and Ludlow is already a destination town. Like, we live in Ski Central, so with all the other towns who are opting in around us, I feel that Ludlow would not turn into a destination town because of a dispensary. Other people can go to other stores on their way here, and that also for a different comment about traffic and parking. With other towns opting in around us, Ludlow is not going to be like, ooh, dispensary. It's going to be, oh, another dispensary. Let's check this one out while we're already skiing or golfing or hiking. It's not going to be a difference, in my opinion. To the concept of prevention works, I respectfully disagree with that. Currently, I'm taking the Cannabis Science and Medicine class through UVM to help my future goal of becoming a holistic nutrition consultant. And one of the things that we learned that I've already known, cannabis being a gateway drug is not the case at all. My personal experience, I started smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol before I started smoking cannabis. So for those two things to still be legal and cannabis to be on the table of legality or not, blows my mind. Additionally, to touch base on the comments of Mexicans bringing cannabis over the border. First off, nobody is smoking Mexican brickweed these days. They're just not. There is far better cannabis out there than stuff coming from the border. It's safer, it's better for our bodies, and again, if cigarettes are legal, why can cannabis not be legal? Cannabis is far healthier for our lungs than cigarettes. And then if you were to vape cannabis, legal cannabis, the chances of you getting any lung disease is slim to none. Also, I would like to add, with health for a moment, cigarettes and alcohol are legal, and they kill people every day. Cirrhosis, lung cancer, etc. Cannabis, 0. Nobody has died from an overdose of cannabis. How many people have died from alcohol poisoning? Just want to add that. And lastly, if I have a last, oh yes, Northampton was mentioned too. I happen to work at the Mountain. I'm in one of the jobs that I have is very public oriented. I can't even tell you how many people have come and say, hey, we stopped in Northampton on the way up here. I'm a gardener in the summertime. Again, having people, I had a second homeowner in Vermont from Connecticut. They stopped in Northampton also to come up. They stopped in Northampton, grabbed their cannabis, and come up to Vermont. So now for one, wouldn't that be considered a federal crime because they're crossing state borders? If it was already here, they could just spend their money here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. And we had another gentleman right here. He's got his hand raised. And your name, sir?
Charlie.
And you signed in?
Yeah, Charlie Rymer.
Thank you. You got the floor.
So my name is Charlie. I work at a ski shop in town. And as I look around, like 90% of the people in here have a job that relies on people coming here and spending money here. Every select board meeting I've come to or watched, there's a discussion on we need money for something and we need to figure out where we're going to get it. Hello, it's kind of looking us right in the eyes. We talk about this being a family town. How is cannabis any different than going to the liquor store and filling your trunk full of booze? Cannabis is way more regulated. Cannabis is way more family friendly. The amount of 50 and older that is smoking cannabis or using cannabis products compared to 50 and under is exponentially higher because they have a safe place to get it. The number of people that come into the ski shop didn't stop in Northampton, but they're like, hey, you know where we can score any pot? Why not make money on that? Like, there are enough people that grow weed in this town that still go to Northampton and spend money because they can't get what they want here. Make money on it. It's pretty easy. We want money for the skate park. These women want to give town money. They're not being asked for it, they're offering it. Why are we saying, go to another town and spend the money? We should be making it here. It's a no-brainer. I don't understand, like, come on, guys. It's 2021. Like, I guess I'll see you at Killarney's after the meeting. You know?
Okay, thank you, Charlie. So, we're back to our 2 minutes. Was there anybody else? We'll give that option. Okay, then we're going to go. Laura, do you wish to do a...
You better go answer that one.
Oops. Wait a minute, this is my wife.
I know.
You people have been so good. She's probably going to heckle me. Linda Thompson.
Cannabis has been around for about 2,000 years. It wasn't until 50 years ago that it was recognized the THC was the psychoactive property. And it wasn't until 25 years ago that we discovered the endocannabinoid system in our body that we all have, including most other mammals. Our body, the endocannabinoid system, consists of three parts. One is anandamide, which we produce. The other two are receptors for CBD1 and CB2. The third is the enzymes that make these react. CB1 receptors are in the brain and the nervous system, and they have to do with THC, combines with those. The other receptors are for CBD, and they have a lot to do with inflammatory properties in our body, the immune system in our body, bone formation in our body, and because there's so much science here, and there's so much illegality on the market, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a place where people were knowledgeable? They're now providing at UVM a Bachelor of Science in cannabinoids so that we can learn how they work in the body. Many people now sell CBD, but they don't really know how it works. Wouldn't you rather have a place in town with people knowledgeable about how to use THC and CBD medically to help people? And that's what I have to say.
Thank you. As her husband, some of it was a little too medical for me, dear. Thank you. Okay, I'm back to Laura. Do you wish to speak again? You got 2 minutes this time.
I'll take one. And
Okay.
Thank you for the science. That was excellent and really good. And I agree that it would be very much controlled here, and there are professional staff that really actually do help you in these stores. And the other thing is about sharing the love. I think there's plenty of businesses in this town that could still use some love, and that we don't need to send it to other towns as a retailer.
All right, thank you. Okay, next on my list was Dean. Do you wish your pass? Okay. Jean, do you wish to pass or speak again? You're okay? All right. Pam?
I guess, and I said it at this last meeting about how fast the town was doing this. We closed a high school before we knew all the ramifications of the impact on our town. And it just feels to me like right now, the board has not come down. We talk about the income. We don't know that for sure. And it just seems to make this happen, it's happened so fast, that would we not want to wait and slow down?
Thank you, Pam. Next, Andrea?
I'll speak very quickly. By the way, Londonderry opted in 2 weeks ago. Ludlow, like all towns and states, they're hurting for business. They're hurting for people. People are hurting for their wages and their jobs because of COVID. We can help this town. We can give jobs. The 30 jobs, I'm happy to give the list afterwards. Increase consumer traffic to other businesses. Restaurant Row, have food trucks on the premises featuring local restaurants. You want to keep people off the roads? Have them come and get their cannabis and their food and go home. We want to sponsor the good bus. We need the good bus back. We need safety in this town. We want to sponsor the good bus so people aren't driving when they go to bars or restaurants or the dispensary. Priority of hiring, Ludlow residents, veterans, women's, minorities, those impacted by cannabis prohibition. By the way, we aren't asking for this to be in the center of town, although we love it. That's not what we're asking for, and it's not about the village. We want partnerships with local wellness experts, drug counselors, nutrition experts, medical wellness activities. We care about drug abuse, and this is not for use. There are about 10 other elements about keeping this out of 21-year-olds and down. We don't want our youth having any cannabis, and this will also help if it's legal and it comes in the packaging. That shouldn't be open. We have to educate people. We all need to get educated. How do we keep this out of the hands of children? Last, yes, if Ludlow does not opt in, others will opt in, and we will lose business. Happy to debate that all day long. Give it a chance, and by the way, this isn't a rush. It's been legal since 2014 in Colorado. We know what's going on in Massachusetts. We know what's going on in Maine. This isn't anything new. We would be the 31st town to opt in, not the first. Legal cannabis is safer than illicit cannabis. Illicit cannabis is here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Donald, did you wish? No? You'll pass? Okay. All right. Not bothering me. All right, next. Meredith? You're passed. You're good. Okay. Alan? I'm sorry? No. No, everybody has an opportunity to speak, so you don't need to do that. Okay. Let's see. Sarah, anything else?
I could have lots to say, but I'm good right now.
You're going to pass? Okay. Next would be Charlie. You're going to say something else? 2 minutes. We're going to go. Yeah.
I'll keep it short. The two things that just keep getting brought up. The one is the comparison with Divided Sky, and while we're having one rehab, why do we need this? As everybody in here probably knows somebody that's been addicted to drugs, you always want to help, but nobody ever wants to help here. Give them the help. Like, quit pushing them away. Quit acting scared of it. And as far as waiting and we're rushing it, I think, not to pick on the town, but I think we've played that game before. Simple example is that pile of rubble that finally got cleaned up and we paid like twice as much because we waited. Make the move and make the money. If everybody else goes, we'll just be picking it up, in 5 years and like missing the beat. So again, it's pointless to wait. Take the chance. Like, do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I almost don't dare ask, but Linda Thompson, did you have anything else you'd like to say? Oh, she does. Put it in language I can understand, Steve.
To be a medical provider and prescribe cannabis, you have to be employed privately. Most of our medical providers around here are part of a FQHC, a federally qualified health center. Because cannabis is still illegal on the federal level, that's why there aren't huge studies on the effectiveness of cannabis. And it's also the reason why most of our local providers who are part of our FQHC cannot prescribe medical marijuana. They can suggest that maybe their patients can go somewhere and get a prescription for it, but they can't. But again, to have legalized cannabis in our community available to people who have a medical need for it, but can't get a prescription from one of the local providers because almost all of them are members of an FQHC, would be a great thing if they could get it legally and it's standardized so that they're not buying it off the street. I think would be a good thing.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps things. Whoops.
I originally wasn't from this area, and I was from the Philadelphia area. And even then, 35 years ago in Philadelphia, Vermont was known for its outstanding cannabis. And you can look it up. It's been a #1 cash crop for like 20 years. It's just something we knew about down there. So we would be, I mean, we should definitely take advantage of it. We've already waited too long.
Thank you. Okay, so what I would like to do is just remind, whoops, what's that?
Dean.
Dean? Huh, you want your 2 minutes after all. 2 seconds?
I'm just very sorry to hear it's all about the money.
Okay, so what I want to say is 2 things. One is just reminding you tomorrow voting takes place here, and it is from 10 to 7. Article 1, shall the town of Ludlow authorize cannabis retailers and retail portions of integrated licensee establishments in town pursuant to, and then the chapter is listed. The next thing I want to end, or I just want to end with, I'm really proud to be a member, resident, legal voting in this town, and able to work with you people tonight. You were so respectful of each other. You spoke from the heart, and I've got the chills because you people did such a wonderful job and made my job easy. So thank you.
Select Board will meet in 2 minutes. Thank you again.
But I only have 2 tomorrow.
There you go. That's all I got too.
I don't like having you guys over there by yourself. Yes.
Better light too.
We're gonna call the select board meeting to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any changes to the agenda, Scott?
Yes, Bruce.
Okay.
I'd like to add, if possible, new errors and omissions from the Lister's office.
Okay. Where do you want to put that? Is Ula here?
She was, well, no, I guess not.
Is she going to present it to us?
No, I've got it for you.
Okay, so we'll put it at the end.
Okay.
So we'll put it like under,
Other business?
number 11, no, under before department head reports.
Okay.
I wanted to ask the board if they are okay with moving item number 7, possibly approve Stearns Pit lease for Okemo use, up to after comments from citizens, the first order.
I'm fine with it.
Okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Heather? Okay. Okay. First item is approved minutes from our October 4th meeting.
So moved.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I should say Justin is on here. You here, Justin? Okay, I got you on speaker now. All right. Go ahead and say something so we can hear you.
Hello. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Okay, thank you. Alicia, he was on earlier.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, I called him. We had so he could listen, go in. All right. Next item is we did vote on that, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Next item is comments from citizens. Logan?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, Bruce, Board. I've been trying to call Bruce, so I was able to connect with you on the phone before the meeting. My mother and I run into Herbie Van Guyver at the transfer station about a month ago, and he explained to us that his proudest accomplishment as a member of the select board and on the various boards that he served on through town, his proudest accomplishment was establishing the swap shop out at the transfer station. And so we were just talking, my mom and I, about how much it might mean to him if that was something that we might be able to rename in his honor. So I just wanted to bring that to the board if you want to talk about it, think about it, at your next meeting. Originally, in my mind, I thought it might be an opportunity for us to originally, when we thought about it, I thought it might be an opportunity for us to, which we so rarely get the chance to do, to rename something and honor somebody in the town before they, their health fails them. Unfortunately, I've heard that he may be in the hospital now for like the last couple of weeks. But still, I thought maybe there might be a chance for us to make sure that he knows how much the town cares about him, if the board feels so inclined.
I think we should maybe take that, maybe talk about it at the next meeting, and maybe you can talk with Patty and, thank you, Logan. I appreciate you bringing that to us. Any other comments from citizens? Marielle? Good. Marielle,
Marielle Maricolo. I know that there is something later about the bike park on the agenda, but I wanted to see if now was the time to say something or then, but just wanted to say I'm here as a supportive person for that. I did also want to mention that I know there's been some question over grant funding through the VORAC grants, and I also support the skate park as well, just conceptually, but I would definitely like to see the town move forward with being involved in a VORAC grant, and the combined grant with the other towns seems to meet well with the grant objectives, and as such, I think we need to move forward on something that has a good chance of gaining traction and just getting some funding for the town. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Comments from citizens?
Hi, my name is Baxter Uris, and I wanted to comment on the Gia Farm survey. Should I do that now or later?
You can do it now, or you can wait, but we're not going to probably get to that till later. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to move to the item of possibly approve Stearns Pit lease for Okemo use. Scott?
Okay, so this is an annual lease that we do with Okemo for their overflow parking. Last year, if you might recall, we did it on a per diem basis with them, only because of COVID and the uncertainty that they weren't sure what was going to happen. And so this year we're back to the original lease, which is a 3% increase, or a minimum 3% increase. And so this lease in front of you tonight includes a 3% increase, up to $76,659.30. That's up from 2019, the year before last year. So Brett is if you approve it, Brett would be the one to sign off on it, and we would need 3 positive votes tonight to do that.
John, anything to add?
No, Bruce, I think it's pretty clear. We sent it off legal. It's coming through, so it's ready to sign. Actually, it's on you to not sign.
I already did.
Justin, did you hear that? Because I'm going to abstain. So Justin, I just want to make sure you're in there.
Yeah, I'm hearing bits and pieces.
Okay.
I had one question about the Stearns Pit.
Okay, go ahead.
When was the last time that the price was increased or lowered? Was there ever a change in the yearly price?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Two years ago.
And did it go up or down, Scott?
It went up. It was up 3%. 3%.
It goes up 3% every year.
We have a floor of 3% and a ceiling of 5%.
For 5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, I think it's every year.
It's a 5-year contract.
Yeah, right, based on the 5-year COLA.
Okay.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? I want the record to show that I will be abstaining from voting. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, so Brett will be taking care of signing that. Thank you, John.
Right.
Okay. Next item is Liquor Control Board, 80 Brew Tap House.
Yes, this is the formerly known as Christopher's in the mill. They're looking for a first and third class liquor license application, and the chief of police has looked at it and doesn't find any issues with it.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion on the liquor license? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Garden Club request for the Christmas tree.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, second by Justin. Any further discussion?
I would just like to personally thank Ann and the Garden Club crew. I think that they do great work, and I really appreciate their effort and dedication.
Totally agree. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Ludlow ambulance vehicle RFP results and possibly approved contract for ambulance purchase.
So if you remember, last month, we were talking about the need for an ambulance, and in the process that we were going to go through, this is a different, kind of unique process, whereas we tie into this national system that has already issued a request for proposals from firms that are involved in this highly technical response. So in this case, they have already issued RFPs, received RFPs responses, and had an elected board review them. And the state of Vermont aligns itself with this national process, so we can meet the RFP requirements that the town has without putting out a blank RFP and not getting any responses, because it's such a highly technical system. So Stephanie's here, and I'm sure she could explain a little bit better, but we were asking for information from the vendor, which he just sent Friday after your packets had gone out, and I haven't had a chance to review it. Stephanie's going through it now. So we hope to bring that back to you at our meeting in 2 weeks as a separate item when we talk about the budget, to hopefully approve that RFP response. Stephanie, do you want to add a little bit about the process on that?
Yeah, so we went over the process like Scott said, and as I said in the last meeting, it's a pretty technical piece of equipment. So by doing this process, we can send out specs for the truck that we want, where if we were going to do the typical way, it would be more of a generic vehicle that wouldn't really fit our needs, and I couldn't give you a realistic price of what it would cost, because it would have to be catered so much afterwards. So by doing this, it's basically the RFP for the vehicle that we need.
So we're tabling this?
Correct.
Okay. We'll see you on the 15th. Okay, national opioid settlement, possibly approved joining the settlement.
Yeah, so you should have that information in your packet. It's a possible national settlement to help offset impacts to municipalities. The state has encouraged us to join, and if not for just the possible funding, then at least for the collective statement about responding to this national and regional crisis. 15% of a settlement would go to the subdivisions, which is the towns and cities. 15% would go to the state for past expenses, and 70% would go to a statewide abatement fund for future response. So it's our option tonight, your option tonight, to vote if you want to join that settlement process.
What's your recommendation?
I think it wouldn't do us any harm at all, and certainly would send us a statement if we joined it. Yeah.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure? Oh, have you heard that?
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Okay. You need a motion?
Do you need a motion?
I don't really need a motion. I had consensus would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're in consensus. Yep. Okay, we're gonna go with that. Scott's gonna keep moving forward with that. Christmas party discussion?
Yeah, with COVID and the recurrence of COVID and everything, we thought it best not to have another indoor large gathering. And so last year's idea of gift cards, we spent, I think it was $50 a gift card, and we spent a total of $47.80 last year. We'd like to do that again, and it's certainly up to you whether you want to do that, or I don't know what another option would be.
I think we should do that again this year. I just don't think personally, I think some people feel okay, but then, if they don't, they just can't go. And there's nothing there, and I think that this is a good thing, and
I think it contributes to all the businesses too. You're not just giving it to one.
Right, right. And I think we encouraged everybody to spend it locally last year.
Okay.
Make a motion to do that if you need a motion.
Okay. Second. Motion and second by Heather. Any further discussion?
Could we, I agree with you guys. I think that we should do the gift cards for the staffs, boards, and commissions. I would, however, like to see us somehow get together and celebrate as a community again at some point. So maybe next year moving from a Christmas party to a fall or summer party instead could be an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe something that the board and trustees talk about.
Yeah, but for this particular item, I totally agree.
Okay, great. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Good. ARPA fund update.
Just wanted to keep you abreast of the process. I was at a seminar a week before last, and VLCT had presentation. I think I incorporated some of that in your packet. They now have a dedicated, one person dedicated to ARPA funding, and they're coming out with a formula. Should have been done last week, but it hasn't come out yet for what they call a loss of income qualification. Loss of income is if a town can prove that they've lost income over an average, I think it was 3 years or 4 years during because of COVID, then they can basically spend that COVID money that they've received on anything they want. We actually had an unassigned balance, if you remember, last year, and so I'm not sure we will meet that qualification, but there's certainly lots of other needs that we will meet. But they still caution us on proceeding cautiously, be patient, because final regulations have not been completed by the feds yet. So the state can't issue final guidelines. So just as a reminder, we could start with public engagement and outreach. Some communities are doing that. And just to reiterate what we have received, the town so far has received a little
sure that we got to have I want to have a plan for how we're going to talk about this with, taxpayers, and you see those where we have a public hearing and people put things on a board of, what they think, we got to make sure we give enough time for that. I know it doesn't have to be spent till 2025, but it's going to be important that we have engagement on that, we're going to need that.
Would you possibly like to do that once we finalize the budget process, maybe like after the first of the year?
I mean, we can get started, I want to make sure we have enough time, and maybe it's after town meeting when we got, enough time to work on it. Okay. Next item, go ahead. Yeah, go.
Sorry, real quick.
No problem.
Are we able to look at those 66 expenditure categories?
Yes, we have.
At some point?
We have the listing of those, and they fall under 4 basic categories, but like you might remember when we first started talking about this, there was only those 4 categories. Now this 66 other potential items that list under one of those categories has come out. So there's a trickle of information, and none of it's finalized yet. But certain things are known to be acceptable. For instance, an ambulance that's needed for, COVID and health issues. So we have a long list of things that we qualify for. But again, like Bruce said, I think we ought to get public input on everything. And by the time we do that, we should have a lot more guidance from the state.
Great, thanks, Scott.
Okay. Next item is the added item, errors of mission from the town clerk, treasurer.
All right. Heather, if you could just take one more and pass that down. Thanks. So thanks for adding this tonight. I just got this morning from the assessor's Ryan Silvestri, and as you can see, it's a large change, and apparently it's from Ludlow Electric. So basically what the state does, what the towns do, and then we submit it to the state, is we ask for evaluation from these groups. And in this particular item, for some reason, Ludlow Electric put that lower number in there, which was picked up by Ludlow's district advisor and caught by him. So that was great. So they already have that in the budget. I mean, it was within a couple $100s of what it was last year, so it's not a new number to them. The surprise was that it went through at 2.8 million, not the 6.4. So we need to change that. It's probably a net increase for us of about $20,000 in taxes.
So what it is they were made aware of a submission error made by Ludlow Electric. They submitted their assessed value without valuing a substation, changing the assessment from 2.8 million 2,300 to 6.4 million 779,200. So there'll need to be a motion. Don't look at Brad.
Who wants to?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we just have to accept this. Yeah, we just have to accept this.
I make a motion to
Then I'll
accept
second
the
it.
Okay, motion and
I
second.
forgot you two are part of
Sorry,
it.
Brett.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. All right, department head reports. Any questions for department head reports? Okay. All right, Scott, your municipal manager update.
So as it was referenced earlier this evening, we've got an application that we're working with two other towns and the chamber. The chamber's coordinating the process, and it's through this VORIC grant, which is Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economic Collaboration, and that is through the Vermont Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation. It's a community grant program, and what they did was they asked for letters of interest, and 104 projects were submitted. Our town joined with Weathersfield and Chester, and with the like I said, the chamber coordinating this. And thanks to Carol Lighthall, who's here tonight. Is she still here? Yes,
Yep.
she is. Thank you, Carol. Working as the program manager on this. So it's a recreational opportunity for funding, and and one of the key components they were looking for is a multi-community application, which this would qualify. So we submitted our letter of interest, and we cleared the hurdle. There was 37 projects invited to submit an application. Now, Justin, who's on the phone, also submitted an application for the skate park. And his project also cleared the hurdle, which was good news. So of those 37, 2 are Ludlow orientated. However, the committee that's deciding whether these applications get funded and for how much has told us that we cannot submit 2 applications. And so we're in that delicate boat where we've got 2 grant applications that have cleared, and one of them's tied in with a couple other towns. So that's where we stand. I just am looking for feedback tonight from you. We do have a lot of support for both projects. The project that we're tied in with is about $78,000 from our portion of it for bike trails at the back 40. We've been working with the rec committee and the bike subcommittee. The application deadline is the end of this month, November 29th, and Carol has put together a substantially strong package, gathering supporting material and letters of support and final budget information, that type of thing. And so we have to make a decision as to which application to move forward with. And so I was looking for some feedback from you, and Carol's here if she would like to address that. Carol? You sat here patiently tonight.
Hi there. So the Borac application, I think, first of all, it's wonderful that there's 2 projects that have been kind of chosen to move ahead. And I don't like there not being, there being a winner and a loser. What I've done, I understand from the rec committee, Marissa was saying that they support the bike path moving ahead. My thought is this, just looking back at the requirements of the program, there has to be completed some prior planning, mapping of outdoor assets, has to be in the town plan, and of course it is for both, have dedicated staff or volunteer capacity to ensure long-term success of the project, and a clear plan for stewardship with whatever committee. I think in this case, just my opinion is that the bike path has a stronger people presence, a stronger team to be behind it. Having said that, the skate park I would have totally supported, and I think Justin has done a tremendous amount of work. And I would, depending on how you decide tonight, I certainly would stand beside him to get the skate park done as well. We'd find a way. Can I answer any questions?
What type of impact, I get a little concerned that we do these projects and they end up being for surrounding communities.
Yeah.
How much do we think the people in the town, we got Chester and Ludlow on Ludlow property. So what does that, so Chester doesn't have to do anything, have to give up any property?
No, actually, excuse me, there are 3 different projects. So in the town of Wethersfield has a new bike path and a bike trail, and it's through the town forest in Wethersfield.
So each one will have their own?
Yes, that's right.
All right, okay, good. I'm glad you
And so in
explained that.
Ludlow, it's the Back 40 bike trail, and in Chester, it's a community trail system.
Okay, good. So, and then, what's the plan to do that? Is it to bring more people into the town for the bike? Is that the idea for the people will come and ride in the bike, kind of like Pine Hill or something up in Rutland?
You know what? I realize, of course, Okemo has a tremendous mountain bike system, and I think the school, behind the school trail system is a great opportunity for skill building. So a beginner trail, an intermediate, and then more advanced, and of course that ties in nicely with the mountain as well. I think getting more people involved, the goals of the program are to increase participation in the broadest sense. And so to build skills so people are comfortable, whether it's bike trails, maybe something else, where they take one step and then another, and pretty soon they're going down the mountain on a mountain bike. So did I answer your question?
Well, I was glad to hear that they're actually trying to do almost like a route or where you can go to different towns. I mean, that makes more sense than just having us be the ones that,
Well, I think we can have a tremendous impact when we work together. Investment dollars go a lot further. As I'm sitting back there listening to the discussion, I'm finishing a grant application on regional marketing. Outdoor recreation, of course, is a key aspect. And I think of these projects, we'll have 18 months to implement the town projects. And this regional marketing effort we'll find out about in December, but we will be promoting the assets in the region, and adding to them, getting people out and active is a really tremendous effort.
Any further questions?
I do have to disagree with you. I would say actually the skateboard park has a bigger following and a longer history. That being said, my husband built the original park with my father-in-law in 1996, and it's still running. So I think it's one of the longest lasting skate parks in the state of Vermont.
Awesome.
And it's actually probably one of the most used skate parks in New England, even though there's cement parks up and coming. Hence, we're trying to do this building to get it up to code with safety because it's wood and metal. But I'm not against the mountain biking. My family mountain bikes and road bikes as well. So I'm all about the trails, but I also know there's amazing mountain biking everywhere around here too. So I want it all.
Yeah,
I do.
So do I. So do I. Well, in finding a way, as you say, I don't know about the skate park, and I would like to know about that. That's another asset, you know, to focus on. You know, so often we have to pick and choose just based on the slightest of differences and the slightest of strengths, and probably this is one of those occasions. I think the application as is probably has a better chance of being funded. Right now, the available funding is $5.1 million. The applications in process, as Scott was saying, is $12.8 million, so they have some trimming to do, a lot of trimming.
Justin, do you want to talk about the skate park? Since it sounds like there was so anybody can do these type of grants?
Yeah, nonprofits, municipalities. Normally, the way we submit grants is if somebody would submit an idea to me, a project, like I've been working with Justin on the skate park and working with this group. I didn't know at first that Justin was going to submit an application into it. So, but normally we would process it and determine which one best going forward and submit one application. In this case, we didn't realize, and they didn't have it in the qualifications, that two groups from the same town couldn't be funded.
Justin, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So, first off, I want both projects, just to be fair. Secondly, I don't want to chat about the skate park if it's a conflict of interest as a select board member, so I want to make sure it's okay before I proceed.
Well, I think the horse is already out of the barn on that. Without the grants already there, so
yeah.
I think you should.
So I'll jump right in.
Yeah.
So promoting the skate park as a tourist attraction has never been done before in this town. And with the advent of skateboarding entering the Olympics and all the generation that we have culturally going for us, I think we'd be remiss not to capitalize on that. First point. Second point is, I believe that Carol and Marielle are correct with saying that their project is more geared towards the Borat grant. However, Scott Murphy said it originally, out of 107 applications, Ludlow Skate Park got selected out of 30, out of the 107, which to me signifies that we were so far out there and we were able to get an invite to apply, and we're applying for more money, and the skate park's falling in on itself, and it needs desperate repair. We asked for $200,000, and I believe the town portion of the OVRCC grant was $70,000. So we have an ability to actually update an existing park and make it safe and enjoyable and promote it for future, which I think is beneficial for the town, myself.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts?
And I can answer any other questions that people might have.
Hang on,
in regards to it.
We just got someone from the audience. Yep. Yeah, please do.
Bruce, can you please state his name again?
Can you repeat your name for?
Yeah, so my name is Charlie again. Work for Tiger Mountain Reimer, R-I-M-E-R. As the manager of Tiger Mountain Sports, the massive bike shop in town, obviously we have a vested interest in the plan for the bikes. That being said, the skate park, the number of people that come to town and come into our shop and we don't even deal with skating, that talk about the skate park. It's a huge asset for town. It's a huge asset for local youth in town. Not everybody skates, so thus comes in the biking thing. Question for the select board. Is it something that we could, if we pick one, kind of write in a contingency to acknowledge the other and dump some money into the other? You know, the skate park right now is dangerous. Like Justin said, like Heather said, it's falling apart. It needs attention now. It's existing. Fix it. But why can't we also take some town money, maybe something we talked about earlier in the future, and dump it towards the bikes as well? I mean, it's the biggest thing we hear in town all summer long in our shop is there's nothing to do with your family. They're spending money and going to Killington to ride mountain bikes, or they're taking their bikes to Rutland and riding at Pine Hill. Nobody's taking their family on a road ride out 100. A bike path is something that everybody's wanted for a while, so why can't we take one and acknowledge the other and have a contingency to put some money to recreation in town? You know, again, people are worried that they're coming here and using our stuff. Well, they're already here. No offense, they're coming to Okemo. So give them something to do while they're here and enjoy our town, enjoy the beauty that Ludlow has. Why can't we take care of both? It's, you know, I mean, I know it's a tough decision because they both need attention, but is it a contingency that we could write in? Just a thought.
And I guess moving forward, we should also talk about upkeep maintenance. Do we have the equipment to do the bike park and to keep it updated? What do we want to do with the skate park, obviously, is another question if we decide not to go forward with the application.
Okay. Marielle?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a super quick comment about, Bruce, you had some questions about like who's going to be coming to use these things, whether it's the skate park or the bike park. I take my kids to other towns often to go to a good playground or to go ride their bikes or to go to, like, my daughter would love to skateboard at some point too. So like, we have people here that want to do things here, you know, to go have to load in the car and drive 30, 40 minutes to do outdoor recreation kind of feels silly when we live in a place where there are opportunities for that. And again, I think we got to get some money out of this grant, so we should move forward with whatever we think will best work. I don't know if there's any avenue for repairing the skate park through like other mechanisms for getting funding, whether that's an article in town meeting or something like that. I mean, it's something the town owns currently, I believe, and so therefore, you know, we all should collectively keep it up, like be responsible for its upkeep and the expense.
Any comments from the board?
Well, you guys know where I stand. I want to fund both, but, you know, necessity dictates that we fix a broken down park that already exists, I think. And it requires more money, obviously, capital improvement.
Bruce, you got another one in the audience.
Yes. Nick?
I'm not sure. I'm Nick. I'm the rec director. So I know where a lot of people stand. The skate park's in disrepair. A lot of people use it. It's mostly the street course. The bike park would get use. I've gotten a few numbers. A start to do that skills portion is about $10,000 to $15,000. But my concern with the bike park is we don't have the maintenance equipment to move lumber or stone up there to continually maintain it. And where the skate park, we have it now, and it really needs a lot of repairs to get it up. And once the skate park's up, you don't have to do that a lot of that maintenance. It's just trying to get that 25-year-old park back to where it should be, so it's safe for people to skate. And I think my big thing for both grants, I've been talking to both people from both sides, is what we don't know is if the Ludlow backs out the chamber grant, does that mean the other towns can't apply? I think that's a big consideration. If Ludlow backs out and Weathersfield and Chester can't apply, that's a lot of people that are affected now. But if Ludlow was backed out and the other towns could apply, and you still can apply and use that and apply for the skate park, I think that's the way I would go.
Okay. It seems like we go every few years that we don't keep the skate park up, so we're back into this position.
It's maintained yearly, but it's wood and metal. So of course, what do you think happens?
I understand that, but we spend enough in this town where if we should be up, if we're not maintaining what we have, then shame on us. And I think we got to be either, if we're going to have these things, we got to, I think Nick's right. If we decide to do the bike, well, how are you going to maintain it? What are you going to do? But I think we got to make sure that we don't allow these to go back and forth, and and I also think we got to make sure that in the future we don't get caught in this situation where we have two grants, going on, something like that. There's got to be better. When you're talking about a town property, I think we have to be careful about that. But you're talking 200,000 versus 34,000. It's pretty much a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Well, 78 is the multi-town grant.
Yeah, but we're only talking 34 for us.
No, 78 is our portion.
Oh, 78.
Yeah. And Chester and Weathersfield.
78 or 78.
I don't know what their numbers are, but Carol, do you know what?
But you're still 200,000 versus 78.
Yeah, 78. Right.
If you can get $200,000 and we've made it this far, I don't know what people think, but if we do this, we've got to make sure that we keep on top of this maintenance-wise, in order to, because we'll be right back in here 6 or 7 years.
So, part of the skate park problem is that it has deteriorated over the years. It's basically beyond repair at this point. So Justin's plan, and the skate park committee, not just Justin, is to redo the whole skate park. This is a big project, and it's talking about tearing up the concrete base. So they're going as far as that and creating better drainage and environmental sound portions of that project. So that's some of the attraction on that application. But it's a big project. It's going to cost a lot of money, and I'm not sure if this grant would fund the whole part of what they're doing, what they want to do. So it's going to be a multi-step process, I think. But Justin and Heather are both right as far as the aging out of this thing. It's basically past its useful life.
Well, how do we know where? Go ahead.
Maybe we should talk about where we are in terms of planning and where I hope the skate park committee can go if the board decides to go this way. We've privately fundraised a good chunk of money. The town last year budgeted in a good clip of money. So we're at about 70 to 75,000 right now in funds that we've currently raised. The project sits at about 120 to 140,000, and that's going bare bones. When I applied for this grant, I asked for 200,000 based on a recommendation that I received, and it's already there's already too many applicants for the amount of money that they have. So I'm told that they're going to spread the money out over many projects rather than fully fund certain projects, which bodes well for us because we would be looking to capture a percentage of that 200,000, which would then, in theory, put us at the mark in order to actually make the skate park go.
So what are you looking for us tonight?
I was looking for feedback. This is probably not a select board decision, it's probably a town manager decision, but I didn't want to make it, given the situation, without feedback from you guys.
Do you have enough? Anybody else thoughts? You have enough feedback?
I think so.
I think we're feeling that the skate park is probably gonna be our best bang for the buck. I mean, that's what it seems like.
I just wanted us to go with the best application that had a best chance for success. And we tried to get some feedback, some off-the-cuff feedback from the director of the program, and she really didn't give us anything that way.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm not the best at grant writing, but I do have people on call that I'm going to personally reach out to help with this grant writing process.
All right, well, we're not gonna make any, we're letting you move forward, so, okay.
Okay.
Next item. Before we move on to this next item, I want the record to show that there was a comment made tonight about the stone pile being left where it was. That is a village issue that the town stepped in and dealt with because the village did not deal with it. And it's very important that, we went to make it better for the town, but that's why that was like that. So, go ahead.
Right, and thankfully, it's been taken care of,
Yeah,
thanks to
looks good.
your generous effort. So the foundation stone has been left as solid fill, and the debris has been removed, and fill is filled in, and topsoil has been completed. So it looks a lot better. Vailbridge stormwater pipe. I think you have a copy of an email between myself and Gary Sweeney. We were concerned that we might not be able to include that in the project, but it in fact has been able to be included. The stormwater pipe runs from the bank parking lot through the abutment and has deteriorated to the point where it's unusable and needs to be repaired. The state's talking about a sleeve fill to repair it, and it looks like they'll be able to incorporate it into this Vailbridge project. So that would be like a cost to us about 2.5%, which would be much better than 100%, which we've been paying for the top deck all along.
Okay.
And Baxter might want to talk about the Gia Farm paving survey results. You have that in your packet, but he's here tonight.
My name is Baxter Urist. I live at 15 Kamula Drive in West Village. The way this came about was you have to watch out for those six-packs because people talk on them a lot. And not the six-packs of beer, I mean the ski lifts. I was on there last year, and in 2 consecutive rides up, some of the people who live off Gia Farm were saying, gosh, I crashed into my daughter's car because she was stuck. And I talked to Scott and said, ever thought about paving Gia Farm Road? And he said, well, what do you think your neighbors would feel about that? And so I got the list, which is actually on the internet, and I wrote to the 75 homeowners there, wrote the envelope, put the stamp on, because I don't have their email address, and said, do you support or do you not support paving Gia Farm Road? One question. The second was, what are the property owners' names, your address in Ludlow, and your email address and comments. The results, and I had a career in marketing, are pretty incredible that it came back 81% of the people actually took the time to do that. Now it's up to like 90%. People don't know what a deadline is. And 88% supported it and said definitely. The thing that was surprising about it, 7%, which was 4 homeowners opposed, and 3 wanted more information. And one of the guys, great, he has a house on Sachem, and I think his property tax is about $20,000 a year. And he said, who's going to pave it? I mean, and who's gonna plow it? And I did that, I'd call him, I say, who do you think's plowing that road now? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, it's a big red truck, and it said Town of Ludlow on the side. Anyways, pretty funny. The thing that amazed me about the response was how people felt the safety of the road was the biggest issue. It really is, they felt very unsafe. And the people who were against it were two people were about speeding, because they were afraid if it's paved, people will go faster. And I think if you have 90% of the people out on the road say, look, let's put some speeding signs up there, or talk with the police how we can make it safer and keep it slow. I'll also say there's a lot of commercial traffic up there, and those big trucks kind of chew up the road as well. So I just, you've got this in your packet, and all we ask is that you look at it and see if there's anything we can do to possibly pave the road, and look at what the issues might be regarding everything from, runoff to long-term upkeep and financing. Obviously, it has to be financed from something. So we just appreciate trying to figure out a committee to do something. I've got 6 people up there who'd like to serve on it. If there's anybody, if you form anything. By the way, there are actually 88 houses up there that are served by that road because of Route 66. They don't drive all the way around the other way. They come up the hill that way. So, anybody have any thoughts or questions?
Anyone?
Okay, thanks. Can we get it done by Christmas?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Scott, go ahead, Justin.
I'd like to say thank you. I didn't catch that gentleman's name, but way to go doing this. The initiative is great, so thank you. One question I had was, do we know who the homeowners were that were opposing the pavement due to the speeding? Where were they located among that farm?
Yes, I don't, I know that Mrs. Gia was opposed. I think she spoke here. The other people who were opposed, I sent to Scott the actual responses that people wrote back to me, the email, besides doing the numbers. So you have all those. If you need it again, Scott, just let me know and I can pull those out and send it to you. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one other funny story. One guy says, it's the character of Vermont to be on a dirt road. When I get here, I feel so great, and it just feels so wonderful. And he lives on Lower Loop, which is not going to be paved. And I, so it's kind of like, well, and of course, he lives in Manhattan, so he drives a long ways for a little bit of Vermont. Sorry.
I think that one of the concerns that we have gotten ourselves into situations with some salt challenges in wells when we go and pave large sections like that haven't been paved. So I know of dealing with, when Frank was here, we dealt with a couple of those. So I think you got to be really careful, because now you're salt versus sand, unless you decide you're just going to do sand. But that's not what they want. They want it clear.
And there were some options. There's other options for us here. So we were going to talk about this when the highway budget was coming up, and so we still can.
I mean, I'd be open to looking at maybe doing that corner.
That first stretch where it gets all muddy.
Yeah, maybe there's a section there, but then the corner.
Sure, corner is always washboard.
Yeah, it's all washboardy, but yeah, I mean, and that's a significant. I mean, it's probably a phased thing if we do it. But
yeah.
Thanks, you, Baxter. Anything else, Scott, in your update?
No, sir.
Okay. Other business. Anyone have anything for other business? I think we have an option tonight. Either we table what we have here for budget discussion, or we go through it. What's the board's pleasure?
I would go to shelve it. It's just because it's a little late on mine, but I'm good for it if you want.
kind of agree with Justin.
It's past Scott's bedtime.
Yeah, there's not much there to do anyway, so, all right, we're gonna table any budget discussion. The next meeting is November 15th. Under other business, Scott, can you just confirm, I noticed in the paper that Chester, Cavendish, and Green Mountain all bid out their plowing of their schools. So I was talking to my wife about it, and I'm assuming that that doesn't affect our budget, that we only have the Mount Holly Ludlow. But can you just confirm that Mount Holly, the town of Mount Holly, also provides plowing for the Mount Holly school? Because if not, then we're paying for a percentage of the Mount Holly school, and we're doing it ourselves down here. Just, if you can just confirm that when you can. I'm assuming they do, but I was surprised to hear that other schools didn't have their town do it, but maybe it's not just as common as I think it is.
Okay, I'll come back with more information.
Yeah, if you could just confirm that. Anyone else have anything? Good. All right, warrant orders, there are some that there needs to be a couple. Brett and I did some signing, but there needs to be some here. If we get 3. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion and a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Take care, Justin. Have a good one.